Hello and welcome to Wahid Technologies. In this video, we will give you a quick demo of how to use our JSON to HTML library. This demo will cover rendering selectors from the JSON. There are different methods in a library that can be found on our website. We can use any of those methods. In addition, we have also developed some APIs with the name Northwind APIs, as you can see on the screens. These APIs are developed in order to test our J2HTML library. These APIs are freely available and accessible for all. Before starting the demo, let me show you the introductory page of the documentation of the J2HTML library. There are two ways by which you can get our library. Number one is you can get the library directly from our website. Second way is you can clone our library from the GitLab repository. In the demo, we'll be going with the second way, that is cloning directly from the Git repository. Selectors component has around 24 examples. We will test each example one by one. Okay. Step 1 is to clone our J2HTML library on Visual Studio Code. For that, go to File, click Open Folder. Let's create a dummy folder and give it a name. Selectors example. Select the folder. Currently the folder is empty. Now go to View, open Terminal. Here we'll type a command git clone, and from the introductory page we will copy the git link, the repository, and paste it here. As you can see, the cloning is under process. The cloning has been done successfully. We have loaded files here, as you can see. Now let's test first example for the selectors, that is add and remove a class. For that, first of all, we will copy this HTML code from here. And in the example.html file, first we will create a container div, and inside this div we will paste the code. Now in the JS folders, let's create a JS file and give it a name, selectors.js. Here, write function get selectors j2html dot get, passing the URL of the API we'll be using here. backslash backslash API and backslash customer. Now we'll write a callback function here with the two parameters error result. Now we'll copy this JavaScript code from here and paste it here. Go to File and save all the changes. Now we'll add the script tag of this JS file we have created. Go to File and save all the changes. Let's test our first example. Okay. As you can see, by clicking this Add Class button, we are adding a new class here. We have mentioned in the HTML path here. This is the input class I've highlighted that we are adding to this button and removing it to the btn remove class. Similarly, we have mentioned the IDs of the adding class here in the element visible, and in the j2html.remove class we have added the ID of the same text add class. Basically, this field is adding and getting removed through these buttons. Let's test the second example, that is append element after element. For that, first we'll copy this HTML and replace it with this part. Changing the function name, as on clicking this button we will be adding an element after the element already added. Get selectors. For the JS part, we'll first copy this create element and paste it here. Now, for the appending part, we'll copy this section of the code and paste it here. First, we are creating the element through our create element function. Element would be the h4 tag with the text append element after element. And by the function j2html.append element after element, we are appending it after element with the ID this, and that is our button here. Go to File and save all the changes. Let's test the second example. As you can see, we have successfully appended this element after the button element. Let's test the third example, that is appending an element before an element. The HTML part will remain the same, and for the JS part, we will simply change this function name to before element. Here only we will add the word before, and the rest will remain the same. Go to File and save all the changes. Okay, let's test a third example. As you can see, we have successfully added an element before this button element. Let's test the fourth example, that would be to append an element to another element. First, let's copy the HTML part and paste it here, adding a button. For the on-click functionality, append element. Next, we will copy this whole code and replace it with this code. We have to create a div with an ID, example result. Go to File and save all the changes made so far. Okay, let's test the fourth example. As you can see, we have successfully appended the element inside this element. Okay, let's test the next example, that is append HTML string. For that, we'll copy this HTML part of the code and add it here. Now, we'll copy JS part and paste it here. Go to File and save all the changes. Let's test the fifth example. Okay, let's test the fifth example. Wahid. As you can see, we are successfully added or appended the string HTML string here. Okay, let's test the next example, that is clone element. Like we will be cloning the element by element ID. First, we will copy HTML part of the code and paste it here. Here, we call the function get selectors. Next, we will be copying this JS code and paste it here. So what will be happening here is that this input field will be cloned in the same div by clicking this button using these two functions. Go to File and save all the changes. Let's test the next example. As you can see, we have successfully cloned the string element. Let's test the next example, that is to create an element. For that, first of all, we'll copy this HTML code and paste it here, changing the on click to the one we have created ourselves here. Get selectors. Now we will copy this JS code and paste it here. What's happening here is we are creating an element button having the ID this. Basically, we are creating an element that is already created in HTML using JavaScript. Go to File and save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you see, the button element is created. On clicking again, this will be replicated or duplicated. So this is how the element is being created using JS. Let's test our next example, that is empty element. Using this example, we will empty an element already created using HTML. First, we'll copy this HTML part of the code and paste it here. We'll copy the JS part of the code and paste it here. Now go to File and save all the changes. What's happening here is we have created a div with some elements like input labels, and by clicking this button we are making this div empty. Let's change the function to the one we have created ourselves. go to File and save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you see, we have multiple elements in a div, like a text, 2 input fields, and 2 radio buttons. Now by clicking this button, this complete div will get empty. As you see, the div has been emptied successfully. Let's test the next example, that is get and set value and getting and setting text. For that, we will once again copy the HTML part of the code and paste it here. Now we will copy this part of the code and paste it here. Okay, let's test this example. On clicking the get value button, we have got the value we just set here. And on clicking the get text button, we have got the value we have set here. Let's test the next example, that is get children. Get children by using element ID. For that, first of all, copy the HTML part of the code and paste it here. Copy the JS part of the code and paste it here. Go to File and save all the changes. Let's test the example of get children. As we are showing an example in the log, let's open the log. Now, as you can see, we have successfully loaded the children div here. Let's test the next example, that is getting an element by ID, class, or a tag name. So to test these, we'll copy the HTML code and paste it here. We will change the onClick function of this to this. Now we will copy this part and paste it here. Once again, to test these, we will return the values of these elements in a variable. And in the console, we'll be calling these three class, and main. Go to file and save all the changes. Let's test this example. Also open the log here, and on clicking the element, as you can see, we have successfully loaded the ID, the class, and the tag name. Let's test the next example, that is to get a next sibling by element ID. For that, once again, we will copy the div part of the HTML code and paste it here. Changing the text to get next sibling. Copy the JS part and paste it here. For this example, we will again be returning the value of the function in a variable, and we will show this value in the console. Go to file and save all the changes. Let's test this example. As we will show the next sibling, that is the next sibling of this. As you see, the sibling of this ID is this one, and we have successfully loaded it here. Let's test the next example, that is to get the parent by element ID. Once again, we'll copy the div part of the HTML code and paste it here, changing the text of the button to get parent. Copy the JS part of the code, paste it here, go to file and save all the changes made so far. So what will happen is that the div with this ID, its parent will be called. So its parent is this div. Now let's test this example. Open the console. Here you will see the output. As you see, we have successfully loaded the parent div or the parent element. Let's test next example, that is to get previous sibling. For that, once again, we will copy the div part of the code and paste it here. Change the text to get previous sibling. Copy the JS part of the code and paste it here. Go to file and save all the changes. So what will be happening here is that the element above this element ID will be called. So we should get in the output this particular tag. Now let's test this example. Open the console, click the button, and as you see, we have successfully loaded here the previous sibling of the current sibling. Let's test the next example, that is get siblings by element ID. Once again, we'll copy the div part of the HTML code, replace it with this one, change the text to get siblings, go to file and save all the changes. Copy the JS part of the code, and paste it here. Go to file and save all the changes. Now let's test this example. We'll get the output in the console. As you see, we have successfully loaded siblings, which are the username and the password. These both are siblings here. Let's test next example of the selectors, that is element checked. First of all, we'll copy the HTML part of the code, paste it here, copy the JS part of the code, paste it here, as we have to show the output in the alert, so we will return the value of the function in a variable. Go to file and save all the changes. Let's test this example. Currently, none of the option has been checked, so we should get false as output. As you can see, if we check an option, it is false is checked. Now the true value is checked. Let's check by name. It's true. and if we uncheck it, we get false. Let's test the next example, that is element exist or not? First of all, we'll copy the HTML part of the code and paste it here. Copy the JS part of the code and paste it here. Go to File and save all the changes. Let's test this example. Currently, this is the element we are testing whether it exists or not. On clicking this button, we get a true value as we have removed the element. Now on clicking this button, we are getting a false value. Let's test the next example to check the visibility of the element, that is element visible? Once again, copy the HTML part of the code, paste it here, copy the JS part of the code, paste it here. Okay, let's test this example. As you can see, the element is currently visible, so we should get the message of true on clicking this button. As you can see, we have successfully got the message. Let's test the next example, that is prepend element to element. First, copy the HTML code, paste it here. Now, copy the JS section of the code, paste it here. Changing the name of the function to the name we have defined here. Get selectors. Go to File and save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you can see, we have successfully prepend this element before the first child. Once again, we have done it successfully. Let's test the next example, that is prepending an HTML string. For that, once again, we will copy HTML part of the code, paste it here, change the name of the function to the one we have created, that is get selectors. Copy the JS section of the code, paste it here. Now go to file and save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you can see, we have successfully prepended HTML string before the first child. Let's test the next example, that is remove element. Once again, copy the HTML part of the code, paste it here. Copy the JavaScript part of the code, paste it here. Go to file and save all the changes. Go to file and save all the changes. Let's test this example. As you can see, we have successfully removed the element of the input we just had. Let's test the next example, that is get a selected value on changing. Simply copy the JavaScript part of the code, paste it here, add alert function and pass the values text and value, or two variables or two parameters. Here we simply add a div with an ID. This ID add a function on clicking which we will call the function get selectors. Let's give it a name, submit. Go to file and save all the changes. Okay, let's test this example. Click the submit button, and as you can see, we have successfully loaded a list of values. On clicking any value, you see we have received an alert message. So this was our selected value on change example. Let's test next example of selectors, that is selected value on clicking the button. Most of the things would remain the same. First of all, we will add a button here, then ID, let's say btn selected, set a non. We'll define it later. Get value. As it is mentioned in the code explanation, we have to add this section of the code on the on click of the get value button. Copy that code, paste it here, go to file, save all the changes. Here, make few changes. Instead of this change, we'll add click function and add a button ID. Copy this button ID paste it here. Rest of the things would remain the same. Go to File and save all the changes. Let's test this example. First, click the submit button. We have loaded our list. Now click the button, and as you can see, we have successfully loaded data for the value we have selected. Let's test next example of selectors, that is show and hide an element. For that, simply we'll copy an input field and we will paste it here. Remove this button for now. From here, we'll now copy the JS part of the code, paste it here, remove this function part, and go to File and save all the changes. As you can see, we have added two buttons, one for hiding the field and the other for showing the field. And these functions are defined here using our library. Now go to File, save all the changes. Now let's test this example. As you can see, we have input field that is visible currently on clicking the hide button. As you can see, it has been hidden. On clicking the show button, it is visible again. Let's test the last example of selectors, that is toggle element. For this, once again, we'll copy HTML part of the code, paste it here, go to File, save the changes. Lastly, copy the JS part of the code, paste it here, remove this hide function now, and save the changes. Let's test the last example of toggle element. As you can see, on clicking the toggle button, the input field is being toggled. Thank you for watching the video.